The cell was cold, silent. Only the soft sound of her chains moved in the darkness. She sat on the floor, bare legs, bare arms shivering. Her silver hair was dirty and tangled. Her once bright skin had turned pale and bruised. The alien girl had been captured weeks ago, maybe months. She lost count of time. They called her Lot 47. Not even a name anymore, just a number. Just property. She had been moved from one ship to another, from one cruel owner to the next. All males, all monsters. She had stopped screaming. It didn't help. And now, a new owner, a human. She had heard of them, brutal, violent, worse than her own kind. She expected pain, more pain. She sat up straight when she heard footsteps outside her cage. Her heart thudded hard. She swallowed. Her hands pulled on the chains, out of instinct, even though she knew they wouldn't break. A light turned on. Door slid open. He stepped inside. She blinked. The human was tall, strong, but quiet. He wore a black jacket, boots covered in red dust, and his face was hard to read. Not angry, not smiling. He said nothing. She flinched as he stepped closer. Her voice cracked. Do it fast. He paused. Do it fast. He asked calmly. She looked up at him. Her eyes were wide, confused. Whatever pain you brought, just finish it. I'm used to it. The man didn't answer right away. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he slowly sat down. On the floor, a few feet away from her, cross-legged, hands resting on his knees. I'm not here to hurt you, he said. She laughed. It was dry, broken. That's what the last one said. He sighed. You're not a prisoner anymore. Then why am I in chains? She snapped. Because that's how I found you, he replied. But I can remove them if you want. She stared at him. Was this a new game? Some sick test? You'll just wait until I stand up, she whispered. And then punish me. No, he said quietly. You've been punished enough. He reached into his pocket, slowly, carefully. She tensed, thinking he'd pull out a weapon. But it was just bread. A soft, fresh piece of human bread. Warm. He placed it on the ground near her. Eat. She didn't move. Poisoned? She asked. No. Drugged? No. He stood up, turned around, walked toward the door. Wait, she called out, before she could stop herself. He stopped. She looked down at the bread. Why are you being kind? He didn't look back. Because someone should have done it a long time ago. The door closed behind him. She didn't eat right away. She watched the bread for an hour, then another. Her stomach growled. Finally she bit it, slowly, carefully, waiting for her body to react. Nothing, just food. Good food. The next morning, the human returned. He brought clothes. Clean ones, soft, her size. He left them inside. Still didn't touch her. This time she asked him, "What's your name?" He smiled a little. "Isaac." She didn't give her name back. On the third day, he removed her chains. She flinched as the last shackle fell to the floor. She was free. But she didn't run. He didn't stop her either. He just said, "There's food in the next room, and a shower. You can lock the door from inside." She walked past him, slowly, eyes on his hands. But he didn't move. She locked herself in. The bathroom. Cried in the shower for a long time. That night, she sat in a bed. A real bed, alone, warm, clean. Her body still remembered pain. But no one came. No. One touched her. The door stayed shut. She sat up suddenly, her heart pounding. It was quiet. Too quiet. She tiptoed down the hall. To his room. His door was open. She peeked inside. He was asleep, fully dressed. One hand behind his head. She stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Why?" He opened one eye. "Why what?" he asked softly. "Why haven't you done anything to me?" She asked. He sat up slowly, his tone serious. Because I'm not a monster. She looked at him for a long time, then asked, "Can I stay here? In the room? On the bed?" He moved aside. Gave her space. She lay down. Far at the edge, he didn't even turn toward her. Cliffhanger ending, in the dark. She whispered to him with a broken voice, "I was ready for torture. But you gave me peace. Why?" His answer was soft. "Because you deserve better." But in her mind, one question burned. Was he real? Or just another dream before the next nightmare? She opened her eyes slowly. For the first time in years, there was no metal ceiling, no buzzing lights, no stink of blood or rust, just a quiet room, filled with warm morning light and softness. Her fingers curled into the thick blanket. It was light brown, clean, warm. She could smell detergent, not chemicals, not blood. She looked down at herself. She was wearing a human shirt, big on her small frame. Her bruises were covered, her body clean. Someone had washed her, but no one had touched her. She sat up and panicked. Where was he? Where was the human? Her heart pounded. Maybe this was the trick. Let her feel safe, then break her again. She jumped out of bed, eyes darting across the room. She spotted a tray food. Real food, fruits, bread, a steaming cup. The smell hit her. It made her knees weak, but she didn't eat. Not yet. She searched the walls for cameras, for weapons, for hidden chains. Then she saw it outside the window, a red sky. Mountains in the distance, strange birds flying across two suns. She wasn't on the prison ship anymore. This was his home, a human home. She tiptoed down the hall, quiet as a ghost. She followed the sound of soft humming, the smell of something cooking. Her feet touched soft carpet, not cold metal floors, and there he was. Isaac, wearing a simple gray shirt, hair messy, cooking eggs in a pan. He didn't turn. He just said, "Morning." She froze. He knew she was there. She waited, for a whip, for a command, for something cruel, but he only placed a plate on the table and said, "Yours." She didn't move. "You can sit," he added, without looking at her. "Why?" She whispered. That made him turn. His eyes met hers, calm, tired, but not unkind. "Because I want you to eat," he said, "not starve." She stepped closer. "No cage, no order, no chain around my neck." He shook his head. "No, you're not going to touch me?" His answer was simple. "Not unless you want me to." She stared at the plate. A small fork rested on the side. Her fingers shook as she picked it up. Her first bite was slow. Chewing hurt her jaw, still sore from weeks of beatings. But the food was real. And warm. She almost cried. He sat across from her, eating in silence, not watching her like a hunter, not waiting for her to beg, just eating like she was a guest or a person. Later, she sat near the window, wrapped in that soft brown blanket, looking out at the alien landscape. He sat nearby, fixing something on a table, a machine. A broken drone maybe. Her voice broke the silence. "I don't even know what to do anymore." He didn't look up. "You don't have to do anything. I was trained to serve, to obey, to ... please." He stopped working. "You don't owe me anything," he said. She looked down. That's the first time someone said that to me. That night, she didn't want to go back to the guest room. She stood at the door of his bedroom again. Not trembling. This time, just unsure. He was reading a human book. Paper, not screen. She walked in. "Can I stay again?" She asked. He nodded once. "Same rules," he said. "I won't touch you." "I know," she said softly. She lay beside him. Not at the edge this time, just closer, close enough to hear his heartbeat. Cliffhanger. Ending. She turned her head toward him in the dark. "I think I was made to believe pain is the only thing. Deserve." He looked at her, his voice low. "You were lied to." She reached for his hand under the blanket, just a touch, just a finger, and whispered, "Then maybe tonight. I want to know how it feels to not be afraid." She wasn't sleeping. Not really. She lay on her side under the blanket, eyes wide open, staring at the wall. The soft hum of the heating system filled the silence of the small human house. It was a sound she had grown used to. But her heart still hadn't learned to rest. Beside her, the human was breathing slow and steady. Isaac. He slept like a rock, one arm under his head, the other resting on his chest. His face was relaxed, his lips slightly parted. She had never seen a man sleep like that. Not near her, not peacefully, not without fear or hunger in his eyes. She sat up slowly, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders. The moonlight from the small window made his skin glow pale, and for a moment, he didn't look dangerous at all. He looked human. Just human. She got out of the bed barefoot and walked toward the door. But her hand stopped on the knob. She turned her head back. Why did she feel something pulling her toward him? Why did her chest feel tight whenever she looked at him? She walked back, step by step, quiet as a shadow. And then, without fully understanding why, she sat down on the edge of his bed. He didn't move. She watched his chest rise and fall again. That soft rhythm. "Are you awake?" She whispered. No reply. She leaned closer. Still nothing. She reached forward and gently touched his arm with her fingertips. His skin was warm, rough, not like her kind smooth texture, but solid, real. He didn't flinch. He didn't grab her. He didn't even open his eyes. She whispered again, "Why aren't you afraid?" "Of me, or angry?" A long pause. Then suddenly, "I was waiting for you to ask that," he murmured, voice thick with sleep. She gasped and jumped back. "You were awake?" "Half asleep," he said, turning his head toward her slowly. "But I felt you watching me. Why didn't you say anything?" She asked, voice sharp with embarrassment. He yawned. "Didn't want to scare you. Figured if you needed to talk, you would." She stood there, unsure. Then she asked, "Can I stay close tonight? Closer than the other nights?" He asked softly. "Yes." He moved slightly, giving her space. She slid under the blanket again, this time laying beside him, not inches away, but close enough to feel the heat of his body. Her forehead nearly touched his shoulder. His scent was strange, human, not bad, just different. It made her feel dizzy. "Is it wrong that I feel safe next to you?" she whispered. "No," he replied gently. "It just means you're starting to heal." "I don't understand you," she said. "I'm not trying to be understood," he replied. "Just trying to be kind." She turned toward him. "You know what I've been through, right? I was used, hurt, over and over." "Yes," he said, "and yet, you still let me sleep next to you?" "Yes," she laughed bitterly. "You must be either brave or stupid." He chuckled. "Probably both." She closed her eyes, but sleep still didn't come. "I can't stop remembering," she said. Suddenly, the collars, the actions, the hands touching. He didn't reply. Then she felt at his hand, not grabbing, not pulling, just resting, palm up, between them on the bed. An offer. She looked down at it, then reached out, and slowly placed her hand in his. Their fingers didn't interlock, just touched. A silent promise. No chains. No fear. No rush. Cliffhanger ending. In the quiet dark, she whispered one last question. "If I asked you to touch me, gently, would you?" Isaac's voice was calm, firm, unshaken. "Only if you truly want it, not because you think you have to." She stared at the ceiling, heart pounding, thoughts spinning. And for the first time, she didn't feel like a prisoner asking permission. She felt like a woman, thinking about choice. But was she ready to feel again? Or just afraid of feeling too much? Too soon? Asterisk. She stood in the living room wearing a long shirt that reached just above her knees. It was his. It still smelled like wood smoke and metal oil. She stared at the fireplace as the flames danced quietly, lighting the room with an orange glow. Her bare feet pressed into the soft rug, warm, clean, but her mind wasn't calm. It had been 4 nights since she entered his bed. 4 nights of silence, no chains, no pain, no commands, no hands reaching without consent. She had shared warmth, and nothing else. And yet, something burned deeper inside her. Not fear, not trauma, but something new. Longing. Isaac walked in, wiping grease from his hands. He had been fixing something again, always fixing. She watched the way his arms flexed, the quiet strength he didn't boast. "You're up early," he said. "I couldn't sleep," she replied. "Too many thoughts," he nodded, tossing the cloth aside. "Wanna talk about it?" She hesitated, then walked toward him, slow steps, like testing cold water. Double quotes. "Do you know what a Narak Vira is?" she asked softly. Isaac blinked. "Sounds alien." She gave a short laugh. "It is. It's a ritual. From my world." "What kind of ritual?" "A survival one," she said, her voice lowering. "In our culture, when someone has suffered too much, been broken, lost their purpose, the only way to find healing is through connection." He tilted his head. "What kind of connection?" She looked up into his eyes. "Skin to skin, warmth, shared breath, no violence, no power, just closeness. It's not about mating. It's about proving to the soul that not all touches are cruel." Silence hung in the air. She stepped closer. It was banned during the war. Soldiers twisted it, turned it into a weapon. Her voice cracked. "But the old ways, the true way. It was meant to save people like me." Isaac's face softened. "And you want to do this ritual with me?" "I don't know," she admitted, "but I keep waking up with this ache. Not pain, just a need to feel safe in someone's arms. To know that closeness doesn't always end in screams." Isaac stepped back. "You don't owe me anything." "I know," she whispered. "That's why I want it from you." She reached for his hand, slowly, carefully. He let her take it. She led him to the fireplace. Sat down on the rug, cross-legged, like old temple rituals from her homeworld. He followed. They faced each other. No bed, no darkness, just firelight. She placed his hand on her chest, right over her heartbeat. "Can you feel it?" she asked. He nodded. She moved her hand to his chest. "Now I feel yours." That's the start of the ritual. Isaac breathed. Slowly. Her voice trembled. "Next step, I close my eyes and let you touch me. Anywhere, but gently, with kindness. If I flinch, you stop." Isaac looked unsure. "Are you sure about this?" She nodded. "If I'm going to feel whole again, I have to rewrite the memories with something better." His fingertips brushed her shoulder. Soft, careful. She didn't flinch. He moved to her cheek. She leaned into it. Then her hands rose to his neck, fingers trembling. They sat there, breathing together. 1 heartbeat. Then 2. Then silence. Cliffhanger ending. Her voice came out in a whisper barely above breath. "If I fall asleep in your arms tonight, Isaac, will you promise not to let go?" He replied without hesitation. "Only when you're ready." Her lips quivered. Not from pain. But from peace. And yet, in her chest, a question pulsed. Could this human be part of her? Healing, or was she quietly falling into something deeper than ritual? She didn't know when her body stopped shaking, somewhere between his fingers brushing her shoulder, and his palm resting over her heartbeat. Something inside her began to melt. Not fast. Not loud, quietly. Like snow under soft sunlight. That night, she didn't return to the guest room. She stayed with him. Not curled on the edge like before, not hiding under the blanket. She lay beside Isaac, facing him. Her silver hair spread over his pillow. Her hand still resting lightly on his chest, as if afraid he'd vanish if she let go. He hadn't tried to kiss her, hadn't reached lower, hadn't even moved, Just lay there, awake, breathing slow. I used to scream when someone touched me, she whispered. Even in sleep. I know, he said gently. She looked at him, eyes wide, glowing in the dim light. But now, I want you to. His brow tightened. Why? Because this time, it's my choice. She sat up, lifting her shirt slightly not seductively, but bravely. Touch my back, she said. He looked confused. Gently, please. Isaac sat up slowly, keeping his hands open. She turned her back to him. Her scars were visible. Some new, some old, some still red. Others faded. He didn't gasp, didn't ask questions. His hands touched her shoulders, then slid down carefully. His fingers brushed along each scar like they were sacred carvings, not shame. She shivered. Not from fear, from release. Her breath hitched. She turned her head toward him, half over her shoulder. I don't want to be afraid of skin anymore, she whispered. You won't be, he said. Then help me forget. He didn't kiss her lips. He kissed her back. One soft kiss. On a scar no one had ever looked at without disgust. Then another. And another. Her eyes burned. But she didn't cry, not this time. She reached back and pulled his hand around her waist, resting it there. That simple act made her heart race harder than any battle. They lay down again. Now, their bodies touching. From head to toe. No armor. No fear. Just heat. Her face buried into the crook of his neck. I think I used to dream about this, she mumbled, before everything went dark. What did you dream? He asked. That someone would hold me without asking anything back. And now, she paused. I don't want to stop dreaming. Cliffhanger ending. Her hand slid to his jaw, lifting his face toward hers. If I kissed you now, would that be okay? He answered with just one word, steady, certain. Only. If it's what you want. She leaned in slowly, paused just before their lips touched, and whispered with a soft smile, then close your eyes, and let me be the one to start this time. Asterisk, she hadn't felt like this in years, not since before the chains, before the pain, before her body became something to trade. Now, wrapped in Isaac's arms, the only thing touching her skin was warmth, his breath at her neck, his steady heartbeat under her ear, his hand still resting on her hip, but unmoving like a silent promise. She wasn't afraid anymore, but maybe. That was the most dangerous part. The sunrise came through the window like gold melting into the room. She blinked, slowly, still half asleep. Isaac hadn't moved all night. Not once. That made her smile, but it didn't last long. A sharp sound hit the air. Boom dash boom dash boom. Her smile vanished. Her eyes shot open. Isaac sat up in one motion, reaching for the old pistol he kept under the drawer. What was that? She whispered. Engines, he said. Not mine. She ran to the window. 3 large black ships were landing on the ridge, markings on the HULL. Scary military transport. Her breath caught. No, she said. No. Isaac stepped beside her. You know them? They're from the camp I escaped, the last ones who had me. Her voice cracked. They must have tracked my biotag. Isaac clenched his jaw. They can't take you. She looked at him. Isaac, listen to me. If they see you with me, they'll kill you. Or worse. I'm not letting them near you. I'm not asking permission. I won't let you die for me. But it was too late. The door exploded inward. 3 armored aliens charged inside, rifles raised. Isaac stood between them and her. Step aside, human, one barked. This isn't your business. It is now, Isaac growled. The second soldier smirked. You don't have the firepower to stop us. I don't need weapons, Isaac replied. I just need 5 seconds. He reached for the old EMP switch on the wall, but she grabbed his wrist. No, she whispered. Please, you can't stop them. But maybe I can. She stepped forward, barefoot, unarmed, but not weak. The soldiers stared at her, surprised. She raised her hands and dropped to her knees. "I surrender," she said coldly. Isaac shouted. "No." She looked back at him, tears in her eyes. "If I fight, they'll kill you. If I go, they'll leave you alive." "I don't care," he snapped. "But I do." She whispered. She was dragged outside before he could stop them. The last thing he saw was her looking back, one tear running down her cheek, but her eyes were calm. She was saving him, like he once saved her. They locked her in a metal cell on the ship. Her wrists were bound. The lights were harsh. The voices cruel, but inside her chest, she felt something strange, quiet defiance, because now she knew what real touch felt like, what kindness tasted like, what it meant to choose. Isaac stood on the cliff watching the ships rise into the clouds. His fists were clenched, his jaw tight. He didn't move for a long time, but when he did, he turned toward the old shed, opened the floor panel, and pulled out something he had buried long ago, a black duffel bag inside military armor. A blade, a communicator, a forgotten past. "I told you I'd protect you," he muttered, "and I never break a promise." Cliffhanger ending. Inside the cell, she stared at her chained hands and whispered to herself. He was the first one to call. "Touch me without pain. Now I wonder what will happen when he comes for me." The cell was colder than before, but this time, she wasn't the same girl they had captured months ago. She sat calmly on the floor, back straight, chin high, even with her hands cuffed. The guards mocked her silence, but they didn't understand. She had already escaped, not through tunnels, not by force, but through him, through Isaac, the only touch that hadn't hurt, the only voice that hadn't lied, the only man who hadn't taken anything, except her fear. In the ship's command deck, one of the Scary officers frowned at the radar screen. "Sir, we've got a fast approaching signal. Another patrol?" The commander asked. The tech looked confused. Double quotes. "No. It's alone. One ship, human model, no ID tag, coming in hot. Warn him off. He's not responding." Outside the cruiser, the sky cracked open. Isaac's old fighter screamed through the clouds, fire streaking behind it. He had reprogrammed the autopilot, since the coms, bypassed Scary jamming, and armed the single-use plasma round he'd kept locked for 10 years. He only had one shot, and one person worth firing it for. The Scary ship rocked violently as the blast hit one of its engines. Alarms screamed. Soldiers stumbled through the halls. Inside her cell, the girl looked up, eyes wide. Her heartbeat stopped. Isaac. Smoke filled the corridors as Isaac stepped through the side blast door, helmet on, blade on his back. The guards opened fire. He didn't flinch. He moved. Fast. Precise. Ruthless. But never cruel. He didn't kill. He only dropped them hard enough that they wouldn't get up again. He found her cell. 2 guards stood between them. "Get back!" one shouted. Isaac didn't reply. The next second, both guards were on the floor. He stepped forward. She was on her knees again, but not broken this time, just overwhelmed. "You came," she whispered, voice trembling. Isaac dropped to one knee, unlocked her cuffs and held her hand. "I said I would." She didn't wait. She threw herself into his arms, not out of fear, not out of panic, but because she wanted to. They stood together on the rocky ridge near his home, the ship behind them burning quietly. The stars above were clear now. No alarms, no cages. Just sky. She leaned against him, arms around his waist. "Why did you come for me, Isaac?" she asked softly. He looked down at her, brushing silver hair behind her ear. "Because I knew what you were really asking when you said goodbye." She blinked. "What did I ask?" He smiled. "You asked if someone would finally choose you. Not for your body, not for your pain, but for you." Her eyes filled with tears. "And your answer?" He didn't say it. He showed her. His lips touched hers gentle, certain. Warm. No force. No shame. Just truth. Final lines. As the wind wrapped around them and her fingers tightened in his jacket, she whispered, I hoped for torture. Feared it. But you gave me something I didn't even know I wanted. What's that? He asked, smiling. She looked up into his eyes. A reason to live again.